and happy Friday to you. It is the Nikki Maduro Show. I am Kim McAllister in for Nikki Maduro, who, of course, is enjoying the last days of her vacation in Maui. Hoping that she's having a wonderful time and grateful that she gets some time off to be with her family this summer. Um, I am thankful for you being here on the Nikki Maduro Show with me. The NikkiMaduroShow.com, the NikkiMaduroShow.com is where you can find our Patreon and PayPal pages. And of course, the show is crowdfunded. So whatever help we get, we are very, very grateful for. Again, that is the NikkiMaduroShow.com. A free way to help us, though, is just to click on the like button. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate your contributions to the show in any way you give them, and that includes being here with us, participating in the chat today as well. Okay, so do want to start out with the story that I guess it's California and some of the nation's leading truck manufacturers now have this deal that will make it easier for these companies to meet the goal of 100% zero emission vehicle sales by 2036. So whereas there were questions about whether this could happen before, now it looks like it's more plausible. The agreement was just announced yesterday by the California Air Resources Board, and the Truck and Engine Manufacturers Association introduces compromises that will help the trucking industry meet the state's emissions requirements while also enabling California to achieve its climate goals. So this is good. The quote is from Leanne Randolph, the chair of the California Air Resources Board. She says the unexpected collaboration between California regulators and truck manufacturers marks a new era in our zero emission future. She says this agreement makes it clear that we have shared goals to tackle pollution and climate change and ensure the success of truck owners and operators who provide critical services to California's economy. So we could really have cleaner air in California. And I think I love that we're doing our part. I don't want to make it hard for people, but I love the working together. This deal allows the state to avoid any potential legal challenges from the engine manufacturers, which had, before the deal was made, really been critical of the emission goals in California. It is the Clean Truck Partnership, is what it's called, this joint initiative. And it includes some of our country's largest truck engine manufacturers: General Motors, Ford, Navistar, Volvo, Daimler, other members as well. So it's exciting to see this coming to fruition, and we may actually have a shot at 100% clean truck sales by 2036. So not that there's not going to be legal challenges in court, but I thought it was kind of good news for the environment and kind of exciting to me. The Air Board will be modifying parts of the state's 2024 nitrogen oxide emissions goals. The manufacturers can use the offsets to maintain the state's emissions targets. Also, regulators committed to providing no fewer than 4 years of lead time and at least 3 years of regulatory stability before imposing any new zero emissions requirements. So they're giving them a break before pushing more things on them. But I thought that was a good thing that happened. So there you go. There's another story I saw that I thought we should talk about, and I spotted this on KSBW, which is a TV station out of Salinas. But they are reporting that the state of California is now making efforts to produce its own supply of naloxone nasal spray. The California Department of Healthcare Access taking this step by issuing requests for information. And by doing that, they are assessing the ability of the suppliers to fulfill California's needs. So naloxone is also kind of Narcan. It is the drug that reduces or reverses opioid overdoses. Um, I mean, it's a good thing that I guess California now wants its own supply, but also, I don't know, I was kind of thinking that's where we are now, right? That we are in such trouble with overdoses that we now have to get our own supply. So in a way, it's a bit sad, but it's also good that the state is taking this step. Um, Naloxone, they say, is the most common form of the medication is Narcan nasal spray. California's Department of Healthcare Services pays $44 per 2-pack of Narcan. The price tag limits how much Narcan that they can purchase and distribute. So California, to address that, has launched the Naloxone Access Initiative, funded through the state's drug affordability program, prescription program. It has received $30 million to create low-cost, over-the-counter Naloxone nasal spray. So it could be easier in California to save lives of people that have overdosed on drugs. We got a problem. We got to fix it. Hopefully get some of these people into treatment and really do a good job of saving lives here. I saw this story as well. This one out of also KSBW, but really more of the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Did you know that this is Plastic Free July? I did not know this is Plastic Free July. Yesterday, I got a tea at Starbucks in a plastic cup. I was looking around at all the plastic I use. I just put new plastic. Today was garbage day. So I went around emptying the garbage yesterday and putting plastic garbage bags in all of my garbage cans, the plastic liners. The single-use plastic in my house, I didn't realize until I sat down and really looked at all the things, how much I use. Well, it is an effort to fight the plastic problem, Plastic Free July. So I would like to issue a challenge to all of us, myself included, to see if we can actually reduce the single-use plastic that we're using this month. And tell me how you're doing in the chat as we move along here. Because we've got it's a huge problem. It's polluting everything. There's now microplastics in animals, even in us, humans. So maybe this 1 month, and maybe you do it all the time. I try to not drink out of plastic bottles, to not buy plastic water bottles, and to, do those types of things. But to try this month to go a little bit further, I'm wondering if maybe we can do this group challenge together. Let me tell you a little bit more about Plastic Free July. It is a month aimed at increasing awareness about issues surrounding the use of plastic. Monterey Bay Aquarium saying from the time companies started making plastic in the 50s through 2017, we have produced more than 9 billion tons of plastic. Many companies across the Central Coast are taking a look at Plastic Free July. They're working to reduce the amount of plastic used and educate the public. Of course, the Monterey Bay Aquarium has a huge display. They have art made of all the plastic pulled from the sea. They talk about, how many thousands of pounds of plastic they're finding in the ocean, and the Pacific Gyre, or the Pacific Garbage Patch, as it's also called. Scientists are estimating at the aquarium that about 12 million tons of plastic makes its way into the ocean every year. 12 million tons. They say it's like dumping a garbage truck full of plastic into the sea every 45 seconds. Wow. Dumping a big garbage truck full of plastic into the sea every 45 seconds. That is what we're doing to our world. Plastic ends up in the ocean, breaks down into microplastics, ends up in our food system, affects animals, and just in general is toxic to the entire chain of life. That, according to John Abramson with the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So minimizing plastic pollution is one of the top goals of the Monterey Bay Aquarium, of which I am a member. They were approached with doing a Monopoly-themed game. They said the game was only going to happen if they can do it without any plastic whatsoever. And so there will be a non-plastic form of Monopoly due out in October, focusing on philanthropy as opposed to commerce, and featuring no plastic. But I wonder what you can do to cut down on your plastic use. single-use plastic. So I have Tupperware that I'll still save food in sometimes. Um, and I have some kind of melamine glasses and some melamine plates that I use for outside because I don't want to take glass out by the pool. But looking around, I'm thinking, maybe I take the metal cup to Starbucks if I want to go and I don't use their plastic cups. Or um, try to find some biodegradable garbage bags that maybe won't rip apart. I don't know. What are your ideas for plastic free July? Are you in with me? Are you interested? I wonder. Um, or am I being criticized? Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Anonymous writes, corporate America indoctrinated me to buying things bought in plastic. Can't accept your challenge this time. Fair enough. Can't do it, can't do it. Maybe if you can't do a plastic free July, you can limit. Calvin Wong says your metal reusable travel bottle and reusable travel mugs. Yeah, the Native American is still crying without the commercial. PT writing, now the stores sell you reusable plastic bags that most use only once in a lifetime, uh, or most use only one time, rather. Fortunately, some stores, Safeway in my area, will accept used bags in a recycling bin. Well, that's good. I mean, anything we can do, right? SF Tesla says if you attempt to use one of those bottles a second time, you'll grow breasts. Nemen writes, unfortunately I only drink water from bottles, so I'm stuck. Well, why not a different type of bottle? Why not a reusable container that, won't heat up when it's in your car? Why not a metal container? So, yeah. Um, Sandy says apparently every piece of plastic ever made still exists. That is how long it takes to biodegrade. It is polluting the planet. And we know that, Sandy. Thank you for that comment. We know that. And that is why I want to, at least myself, and hopefully some of you, even if we only eliminate one or two things, that's something, right? Even if it's small baby steps or just looking around to see what can I do differently here. I think it makes a difference. Um, and so I don't know if you're interested in doing this, but Deidre says, I limit my plastic use every day. We should all make it a habit. It's true. Ms. Organic says Grove Collaborative is a great website for reusable and non plastic packaging household items. Very cool. Al says I reuse my plastic bags when I scoop cat litter. Yeah, you do. That's good that you reuse them. Wouldn't it be nice though if you did it with the bags that you use for, I don't know if you have an organic bin that don't take so long to break down so that your cat litter isn't preserved for, thousands of years as those plastic bags that you're throwing out. I'm not criticizing you, Al, because I do the same thing. We all do the same thing. I think we just have to learn how to do it differently. Chris says if they would stop medicating the water with fluoride, I would drink out of a fountain. We disagree on that, Chris, but we disagree sometimes. It's all right. Miss Organic says they have glass spray bottles for household cleaners and aluminum with concentrates. No more reusable cups, John Daly. Coffee shops stopped allowing reusable cups during the pandemic. Are they allowing them behind the bar now? I don't know, but I am going to find out. I know that we have some Starbucks reusable cups, so I'm going to try to find out, see if I can't use those again. Maybe it's time. I request, says Mindy, that the grocery clerk only give me paper bags. Lori says use plastic packaging at least twice. Sort through packaged spinach and then store with paper towels for use. Then use that package to take used cat litter to the garbage. Well, at least you're finding a way to use it again, right? Melody is loving the Brita, the container that filters your water. So that's good. That's not single-use plastic, right? No. Remember when stores switched from paper bags to plastic? It was good times. Yeah, not good for the world. You look at the pictures like this, and it's gross. It's gross for our world. So I am willing to embrace plastic-free July, and while it might not exactly be plastic-free in our house, we're going to attempt to reduce plastic. My family doesn't know this yet, but I am going to attempt it. Thank you for the ideas, and anyone that wants to participate, you can always email me and let me know how it's going. Or if I don't see it in the chat, make sure that you send it over to my email address, which is kimmcallister@gmail.com. Two M's, two C's, two L's. kimmcallister@gmail.com. Jim writes, I am in on the game of reducing plastics as I sit here in my car eating my lunch, looking at nearly all of my plastic interior. All right. Well, and yes, we overuse plastic, but that's plastic that, I don't know how long you're going to keep your car. I'm going to guess 10 years, maybe. So I'm not thinking that's single use plastic. But what we're talking about is, as you eat your lunch, the plastic straw sticking out of the cup that has often a plastic lid, right? The plastic wrap around the sandwich. Is there anything we can do differently about that? About not ordering the drink that has the plastic lid and the straw? Kim says to John Daly, I think they are allowing reusable cups again. They are certainly on display and for sale. I'll find out for sure and come back to you guys and let you know. Um, no, I don't think so. John Daly says, my parents always used paper Safeway bags and milk cartons for garbage. We never had plastic garbage bags growing up. That's what we have to go back to, John. We really do. Huge, huge, huge thank you to Joe Fong for a $10 super sticker on this Friday. We appreciate your contributions to the Nikki Maduro Show very much. That is how we're getting by, and we are grateful for anything that you can give us. And once again, Joe Fong, the website is thenickymaduroshow.com, and the Patreon's there and the PayPal's there. And again, as you saw Joe Fong kick in, the super chat is live, and you can even do the super chat after the show is over. So when you're listening to the recorded version, that is still an option as well. So anyway, thank you for that, and thank you for clicking the thumbs up button, as I mentioned earlier. But if you haven't done it yet, clickety clickety that thumbs up. So thank you for doing that. We're talking about limiting showers now. That's your contribution. That's great for conserving water. What are we doing about plastic? That's what I want to know. Mindy, we have switched to this too, using waxed paper for wrapping up sandwiches, kind of like they do at a deli. So we have done that at my house as well. And they're cute, little red and white checkered pieces of paper that we're wrapping sandwiches up in if anyone has to go to school or, take a lunch to go. Chris says most ocean plastic comes from 3 rivers in India and Africa. Okay, you might be right, Chris. I can't fact check you on that right now, but I will say that a lot of it comes from America too. I've seen people just chuck plastic right out into the street. It rolls, goes down into the sewer system, and then the sewer system, I don't know, at least in this town, um, goes to a waterway, right? So it can end up in the Petaluma River estuary. It can, go back into the bay, a lot of places. So I'm concerned. I have concerns. Chris writing, just caught wind of Earth Breeze. They make laundry detergent that comes in dissolvable sheets and paper packaging. Have not looked up the pricing, but it eliminates the huge detergent bottles, which is great. But I have to have my laundry detergent work. I need good laundry detergent. Right now I use Ecos. It's supposed to be gentler, but I find that it works, but it does come in those plastic bottles. So if I could find a way to do away with that, I totally would. Laura says my mom used to wrap our lunchbox sandwiches in wax paper. Yeah, I think that's where what we're going back to, Laura. I think we have to. Let me know what you think, Chris, of that Earth's Breeze if you end up trying it, if it works well on your laundry. I'm totally down for switching. Randy says a lot of ocean plastic also comes from Japan, China, and Korea, not so much from the US. Well, here's the thing, Randy, and thank you for that. I can't fix what's happening in Japan, China, and Korea. And I can't fix what's happening in the United States, but I can fix what's coming out of my house, right? I can teach my kids to try not to use plastic. Sometimes it seems like it's unavoidable. You go to the store, you want a little container of macaroni salad, they package it in a plastic, single-use container. You want, some type of, frozen item you're buying, it comes in a plastic container. Sometimes it seems like you have to either change what you want or, um well, yeah, I guess just change what you want or really limit the fact that you want it and you're buying it. Buy it once every, so often instead of all the time. I don't know. I'm just looking at ways to help the planet, people, looking at ways to make it right. Mindy says we need to write to the congressman to have the federal government put pressure on plastic manufacturers. I think the pressure comes from us, though, Mindy. I don't disagree with you, but I will say if we are not buying it, then they have no market or less of a market to make it, right? So part of that comes from us. Karen writes, if we want to reduce our dependence on oil, we need to reduce our use of plastic. Oh, Joe, been using Earth Breeze for several months and liking it very much. That is awesome. Earth Breeze, huh? Okay. I'm willing to try it. Excellent. Um, Chris writes, glass is heavy and brittle. It's true. Um, but I think it's worth it in some cases. Like, uh, I don't microwave plastic, even though sometimes I'll store food in plastic, and I'm trying to switch over to glass plastic or glass containers to save food in instead of plastic. So, um, Stan, the CPA, hi Stan, writes, we stopped going to certain restaurants that still use styrofoam. Well done. Laura, if you purchase, I wonder if they know though, Stan. And did you tell them that's why? I hope you did. I bet you did. So that they know they're losing business because their customers want them to be more ecologically minded. Maybe it makes a difference. Laura says if you purchase meat from a butcher counter, it is wrapped in paper. That is true. But if you purchase it from the butcher counter, but remember sometimes buying the hamburger meat, if you pick it out of the frozen area or the refrigerated area, it's wrapped in plastic, often on the styrofoam tray. Um, Anonymous says it would be nice if you could recycle bottles for a discount at stores like in Mexico. The prices for turning in cans and bottles have plummeted in the last decade. The incentive is disappearing. That is true. And they've closed a lot of those places that you can recycle your bottles and cans as well. And so a lot of people have to drive a great distance in order to even find a recycling center. Not in all communities, but in some. Chris writes, you'd think some scientists would focus on developing a glass that was lightweight and shatterproof. Let's hope. I mean, yes, that sounds great. Only 4% of world oil production is used for plastic production, Randy says. So, um, Chris wants to give Earth Breeze a shot. Well, Joe says it's great. I trust Joe, so I'm going with it. Let's both do it, Chris. Let's see if it works. Leon says, I avoid plastic as much as possible, but it'll take government bans on manufacturing corporations that have been scamming us for decades on recyclability. Stan says, yes, they did say to a couple of restaurants. That's why. Good. Good for you, Stan. Well done. Katie says there's another company like Earth Breeze. They're from Canada. They're called True Earth, TRU. I learned of them before Earth Breeze. All right. Well, I wonder which one we like better. I mean, those are some big plastic containers, though. We could get rid of those. I mean, I have 4 of them that I put in the recycle bin yesterday. So, and I don't have a lot of faith when I see the blue can rolled in and dumped into the truck that there's really recycling happen because we saw that. What were we? It was supposed to be that all of those plastics were going to China to be recycled, and then China didn't want them. So all the things we thought we were recycling, we really weren't. I hope that's no longer the case. John Daly writing, I think the real solution will come in the form of new packaging, new technology that has less of a negative impact. In the meantime, I'm buying aluminum cans whenever possible since it's 100% recyclable. I agree. And it's why I switched really mostly to um, sparkling water in cans rather than buying bottles of iced tea. I'm trying to do better as well. But then as I was researching the story yesterday, we talked about the story about forever chemicals, and there's a new study that shows that half of the water supply in America is tainted with these forever chemicals. While I was looking at that, I saw a story about forever chemicals being in your sparkling water cans. It seems like no matter what you're turning, what you're trying to do, there's some toxin somewhere. Ron Cook writes, in Holland, beer was sold in plastic cases and you had to pay a deposit for the case and each bottle. When you returned, you could get another case without having to pay that fee. Almost 100% recycled. Steel cans, writes Chris, were better, but having a metallic taste. I kind of remember that metallic taste as well. Chris also says, yes, I have too many detergent containers. I do too. And they're big, and it makes me sad every time I have to throw one out or in the recycle bin, which again, I don't trust that it's actually being recycled. Katie says, there are these little sheets, like dryer sheets, easy to carry to the laundromat. I think you're talking about the laundry detergent. They're little sheets instead of coming in the big bottles. It's good. Ms. Organic says using the soda stream has completely limited our recycled cans for sparkling water by about 100 a month. Oh, wow. Do you like the way that tastes? Do you make your own sparkling water? I don't know. I've seen the soda stream thing before. We had one in the KGO newsroom for a while, and it just kind of sat there, and it was a dust collector, and not many people did anything with it. So I shied away from it. But tell me more, Miss Organic. Tell me more about whether you like it. Yeah, Liz says too, get a soda stream, make your own sparkling water. You guys are giving me some good ideas. Randy says recycling rates for aluminum cans are dropping. They have dropped 20% in California in the 5 years from 2016 to 2021. Still, about 70% of aluminum cans are recycled in California. And I wonder, Randy, if that has something to do with recycling centers making it harder. A lot of them closing up, not as many opportunities to recycle. It seems like I see people going through garbage picking out cans, but maybe not as much as I used to. I don't know. Ms. Organic, about the soda stream, it tastes great and whatever flavor you want. Awesome. John Daly writing, almost every chain grocery store in Europe has a machine that takes your recycling and gives you store credit, or you can redeem for cash. That makes it easy for people, right? I right now will take my glass bottles. We buy milk in glass bottles. So we take those back to the store and they take them at the counter. They're expensive. It's like $5 fee per bottle, but you get it back. But I think more people would really consider recycling their cans and bottles instead of dumping them in the blue bin, which, okay, if they got that recycling credit. So that's pretty good. Kay in Santa Rosa says, I was a soda stream early adopter. I've had one for about 15 years, and I take it that you really like it. All right. Target has the bubbly brand flavors to add, and you can tailor the flavor to your taste. That's funny because that's what I'm drinking right now is the bubbly brand. So I guess they have the bubbly brand not in plastic containers that you can take and add the flavoring to your own water that you make at home. It's more work, but if we have to save the planet by taking some extra steps, we should in this plastic-free July. Chris says, I don't know this for a fact. Here it comes. But the dryer sheets seem to have plastics in there. I plan on moving to dryer balls. I can scent them with essential oils and such once my current supply is gone. Talking about dryer sheets, I heard that there was some type of chemical that wasn't necessarily very good for the world either in those dryer sheets. John says they have to make it easier to recycle CRV bottles. They do need to. I would agree with that. Good point. Leon, what happened to the Marshall Medoff's miracle bioplastic breakthrough showed on 60 Minutes episode about 4 years ago? I didn't see the episode, and I don't know what happened to it. Don't know. I'll look it up, though, after the show. Vilma says, I recycle plastic because I get more money for the plastic than I do for the glass. I also recycle aluminum. So you take it to the recycling place? Because I think most people just throw it in the recycle bin and the garbage people come pick it up. We never see that CRV money ever again. Or do you take the time to put it in bags and then drag it down to wherever the recycling center and then get your money back out of it? I mean, if you do, that's awesome. I love that. Ron says they have biodegradable plastic made from corn. I've seen that in uh, silverware, not silverware, but plastic forkware. Not, it's not plastic anymore if it's biodegradable, but in reusable, the as you're buying what used to be plastic forks, spoons, and knives, it's made by corn, so it's more it's biodegradable. I said that extremely poorly. Please forgive. Liz, I add pomegranate juice to my soda stream, sparkling water for flavor. Sounds great. Wes has a soda stream too. You guys and your soda stream. Okay. $5 per glass bottle. Inflation. They want it back. That's why, Al. They want that bottle back. They don't want you to keep it to put flowers in. And it's kind of a cute, country looking glass bottle. They want to make it very lucrative to ensure that you will bring that back. Yes. Katie says, in San Francisco, I save my bottles and cans for the folks who come around on garbage night. That's kind. Some people resent them doing that. I think it's a great way to recycle, and then they can use the money, so it's a win-win. And they're working for the money too by coming around to pick it up. I agree, Katie. I don't see what's wrong with that. And I have never been upset when I see homeless people picking through recycle bins to get bottles. I can't fault someone for finding a way to make money. So if that is helpful to them, I think that's a great idea. I think it is a win-win. Capitalism always wins. Consumers can fix the problem, writes Harry. I think there's something to that. Wes loves his soda stream. Kathy says we should petition our representatives to emergency ban scheduled dehydration monoxide. It's a silent killer. All right, well, I have to find out more about that. I'm going to put the link in the chat in case you are interested in calling in today, talking about things you do. If you're interested in taking on this plastic-free July challenge with me. So there is the link in the chat. Wes with a super sticker, $5 for the Nikki Maduro show. Nikki and I both say thank you, Wes. You are so kind. Thank you for supporting the show and for being here and being part of the discussion every day. I really appreciate you. Karen found some corn-based straws. That's pretty cool. Better than the paper ones that get a little soggy at the bottom, right? Wes does write that he wishes SodaStream had a brand name syrup like Coke. I think it's better that it doesn't because we don't want you drinking that syrup. I said that like a mom, huh? Sorry. Kathy says we should get a petition or representatives to emergency ban. You talked about that silent killer. I have to look that up, Kathy. Dihydrogen monoxide. All right. Lori says they found microbes that consume TNT and use them to clean up munition sites. Need incentives for biotech to find and engineer bacteria that will digest plastics to inert or useful components. I have read a story recently about someone who did that, who managed to help create this bacteria that would chew through plastic. But I don't know on what scale it's being used yet. So Vilma writing, I take my recycling to the recycling center and they give me my CRV back according to the prices. It's more work, but it's become a habit. Well, good for you. Right on, Vilma. Way to go. John says, I save mine and I take them in, plastic bottles and cans, but never the glass. Why not the glass? Because you don't get as much for that back, or too heavy, or what? I don't know. I got upset. The lady that went through our trash always left a mess in San Francisco. Yeah, see, that's the thing. If they're just chucking things out of the bin, that's one thing. But if they're doing it in a neat fashion and just taking what they need to, and that you didn't want anyway, and leaving, that's a different story. Leon writes, Medoff's bioplastics could be programmed to break down between months up to hundreds of years for use such as pipes and such. And oh, I love my soda stream too. You guys in the soda stream. All right. I'm glad to know that you like it. Ms. Organic says the middle of the country doesn't even have recycling as an option. It kills me when I'm at my mom's and they burn debris and garbage everywhere. So awful. In 2023, how can there be parts of America that don't recycle? I don't understand. I just don't get that. They didn't for a while have the ability or the infrastructure in place to do that in Hawaii either. So I remember at the end of a vacation, we would have bags of plastic and glass and nowhere to put it. And it was heartbreaking to just dump it straight into the trash. Bryce writes, even some toothpaste has microplastic, ironically. It causes gum disease because those microplastics get stuck on your teeth, attracting germs. Ew. Bryce, I have to tell you, I have never even thought of such a thing. Something else to look up. Gross. Plastic, says Bryce, is in everything, and that is why soy boys have moobs. Yes, indeed. Leon says, I use bamboo straws or not at all while on the road. I love my habit of crunching on ice. I have metal straws, so they kind of have a silicone bendy thing, but I might even have one in my purse. I'm gonna look for it. I have these straws that I carry around with me. You guys are gonna think I'm the biggest dork in the world. Here is part of it. Oh, it came apart in my purse. Here's part of my metal straw that I carry around with me. It comes in this silicone, you can see kind of how it's wiggly, thing, and it has this cleaner that comes with it, and it has the silicone like bendy thing that comes with it that attaches like this, and you can fit a couple of them in this little carry case and push it like this, and then there's your straw. So yeah, Nikki's afraid of metal straws. She thinks that when you're walking, that can jam you in the eye and that you can die. But this one's kind of wiggly. I don't think it could really do anything to you. So anyway, but yeah, there's a couple of them in here, these little metal straws. And again, with its own little metal straw cleaner, so you don't have to worry about it. But you can put the metal part in the dishwasher, right? If it gets gross, but I don't let it get gross because if you clean it right away, it's fine. See, this is the way. I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying not to use the plastic. Anyway, sorry for dorking out on my straw. We're just talking about straws there for a minute. John says, yeah, the glass is too heavy, very easy to break, but also there's just not much of it. Okay. John says, Pete's was experimenting with compostable coffee cup lids. I'm not sure why they went away. Maybe they were too expensive or ineffective. I see some place does have the compostable coffee cup lids. And that always makes me feel better about what I'm buying. Lori says, need warp speed type program to guarantee development to cost to companies working on this. I agree, because this isn't something that we can mess around with when you look at the numbers and the statistics of how much plastic we're dumping into the world. Thank you guys so much for this conversation. I love all the things that you're telling me. And now I need to go and look up the laundry detergent and the soda stream. So that's on my homework list for today. Yeah, and thank you, Gordon, for participating in that conversation. I do want to do a little bit of news, and then we'll jump back into discussing some of the headlines. So right now, let me try on my very own to play the news sounder, because I can't do it without that. And here it is.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, Republican lawmakers are demanding some answers after a small bag of cocaine turned up at the White House. Representative James Comer calling on the head of the Secret Service now to brief the House Oversight Committee. See, this is what happens when I try to do it myself. But again, James Comer, is calling on the House Oversight Committee to brief, or Secret Service rather, to brief the House Oversight Committee on the developments next week. The panel wants to examine White House security procedures. I was reading a story, though, talking about drugs found at the White House over the years, or drug stories, how, rock bands that have come to the White House have tried to sneak in drugs. And it's interesting. This is not the first time that there have been drugs in the White House. Twitter, of course, accusing Meta of violating the law with its new Threads app. 30 million people already signing up for Threads. Twitter, though, reportedly threatening legal action for misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets and other intellectual property. Got to be able to prove it. I don't know if Meta would have done that. The Meta's Threads is a text-based app that is a direct competitor to Twitter. And I am looking at the activity already on Threads and how many people have signed up. And it seems like a huge competitor. And with everything going on with Twitter, I can see they're very worried and scared. The Baltimore police are holding a teenage suspect now in that weekend mass shooting that killed 2 and wounded more than 24 people. Authorities announced the 17-year-old's arrest after a search warrant early today was issued and executed. 3 of the shooting survivors are still hospitalized for their injuries. That was a horrible one. The stage is now set for UFC 290 in Las Vegas, for those that pay attention to such things. Featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski will face interim champion Yair Rodriguez in Saturday night's main event. The flyweight champion Brandon Moreno will put his title on the line against Alexander Pantoja. Does anyone follow the UFC fights? It is the latest installment in the Insidious franchise, off to a fast start at the box office. Insidious, The Red Door, made $5 million from Thursday previews, and it is expected to make about $25 million in its first weekend in North American theaters. So Tim Sika will be along in just a little bit at about 1:30 to talk to us about movies, and I'll ask him about Insidious and what he thinks about it, if he's seen it, and all that. There has been in the Monterey Whale Watchers, with the Monterey Whale Watchers, an incredibly rare sighting of a pod of Cuvier's beaked whales. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Cuvier, Cuvier. The whales are rarely spotted because they can hold their breath for 4 hours, and they spend most of their time in deep water. The record for the deepest dive for a Cuvier beaked whale is nearly 10,000 feet, almost 4 hours, which is the deepest and longest dive of any mammal species, according to the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation. But again, the Monterey Bay Whale Watchers got this rare sighting of a whole pod of these whales. So that's kind of a cool thing. In San Diego, a man who used stolen personal information from UC San Diego students to access bank accounts and hundreds of thousands of dollars in unemployment benefits is now being sentenced to 4 years nearly in prison. That doesn't seem long enough. I always say that. Prosecutors say Nehemiah Joel Weaver obtained the student information through his then girlfriend and co-defendant Mia Nicole Bell, who worked in human resources at UC San Diego. She was sentenced last year to 4 years in prison. They say Weaver obtained more than $200,000 in unemployment payments during the pandemic and used that stolen money to buy a BMW 740i and other luxury items. Of course, because what else are you going to do with all the money that you steal, right? A missing girl with learning disabilities was found in a Marine barracks at Camp Pendleton. The Spring Valley family reported this girl missing June 10th. Military police found her last week, and San Diego County deputies got her back home. Captain Chuck Palmer of Camp Pendleton-based 1st Marine Logistics Group confirms NCIS is leading an investigation. They have detained a Marine for questioning. The girl's aunt is asking the public to refrain from interfering with the investigation, also calling for some transparency there. But that's pretty scary when you think about little girl, a missing girl. They didn't say how old she was, but that she does have learning disabilities. Not a good day for Twitter to have outages, but Twitter is seeing a rash of outages just as it gets this competition from Meta's Threads. Users have reported a number of outages on Twitter since yesterday, with a peak coming at about 9:30 this morning. The website Down Detector reported about 70% of the outages were happening on Twitter's desktop site. The issues coming as Meta has seen more than 70 million people now sign up to use its new app, Threads. Twitter has threatened legal action against Meta, as we discussed, accusing Twitter of using trade secrets to develop Threads. This is going to be a show, isn't it? This is another story I wanted to talk to you about, and it wasn't a Fresno apartment fire. Well, let's do a story out of Hawaii, because I know that we have a lot of listeners that are in Hawaii listening to us on the show. Aloha. More than half of Hawaii's public schools still have their old bell, alarm, and PA systems, despite the Department of Education having spent $168 million to install new systems since 2014. The DOE says a lack of funding is why more than 100 schools still have outdated analog equipment. Officials say the groundwork for the upgrades was laid for all schools by 2016. They all have the infrastructure in place, but they don't all have the modern technology yet. So something that they're looking at and concerned about. A former assistant principal in Los Angeles County is suing Donda Academy. Remember that? That's the private school that was founded by Kanye West, or Ye, as he's now known as. A new lawsuit says the school was in violation of several health and safety codes and claims teachers faced retaliation after reporting issues. Donda Academy first opened as Yeezy Christian Academy. In the Simi Valley in 2020, got a new name, though, and was relocated to Chatsworth the following year. The former assistant principal says the faulty electrical wiring there led to a fire in the students' dining area. He also says there was a skylight without glass in the main classroom, allowing rain to fall directly inside. He claims there was no glass because Ye doesn't like glass. So that was the whole reason for that. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. The cruise ship smacking into the pier in San Francisco. Well, it looks like the 3,300 travelers that were headed for an Alaskan cruise out of our San Francisco port are still sitting on the Ruby Princess cruise ship after it hit that pier while attempting to dock yesterday. The Coast Guard is helping with the investigation, confirming the ship's hull and dock were both damaged and being inspected. An update on departure time is expected sometime today. Once it sails, the passengers will be on a 10-day trip to Alaska. They were supposed to leave yesterday at 4 in the afternoon. That didn't happen. So a bit of a bummer. In business news, teenagers can now have their own Uber accounts. Didn't used to be the case. The new feature allows teens to request their own rides to order food. The special accounts can be supervised by parents through the family profile in the Uber app. And if you were waiting for ChatGPT, well, here you go. OpenAI's latest generative chat model, it's called GPT-4, is now generally available. Qualifying API developers who have a history of successful payments to OpenAI have access now, with new developers added later this month. According to the company, GPT-4 performs on a human level, generating responses to text and image inputs as well. Which leads me to the story about robo-taxis. And I know that Mark Thompson and John Daly were in a robo-taxi recently. They posted a short video. You can find it on the Mark Thompson Show Facebook page and also here on YouTube under the Mark Thompson Show. It's fun to watch them do this. But some people in San Francisco are not fans of these robo-taxis. According to TechCrunch, a group of safe street activists has figured out the autonomous taxis from Cruise and Waymo can be disabled when a traffic cone is put on the hood of the vehicle. They are encouraging others to do this during what the group calls the week of the cone. Why would you want to slow up traffic I guess maybe they don't feel these vehicles are safe. Don't put the cone on the hood of the car. Come on. That's awful. Um, Here's another story I wanted to tell you guys about today. And it had to do with Pepsi. And of course, now I can't find the story, but Pepsi is coming out with it's a very limited new flavor, and it is Pepsi pineapple. Have you heard about this? Yeah, it is Pepsi pineapple, and it's coming out again, limited edition. Would you drink pineapple flavored Pepsi? I like pineapple flavored pizza. I like pineapple on my pizza. I don't know if I want it in Pepsi. So Little Caesars is teaming up with Pepsi to bring a limited edition soda to customers. The Pepsi Pineapple is returning this month for a special promotion at Little Caesars. The company says it wants to fuel the debate surrounding pineapple on pizza by satisfying all pineapple lovers. The Pepsi Pineapple made its debut in 2020 for a limited time. Fans of the drink can taste it again on July 17th. So if that floats your boat, it's coming home soon to a theater near you. Mm-mm-mm. I'm Kim McAllister, and that is the news here on the Nikki Maduro Show. All right, we have things to talk about. Don't have this music looped. I probably can't do that. Um, yeah, so let's go back to talking about some of these stories today. I was looking at a story about this water guy. Also, why bears are digging into vacation homes in Tahoe. It might surprise you. And a different kind of Tahoe problem that's truly creepy. Those are some of the issues that we'll talk about. And of course, we have Tim Sika, who will be along, and he's going to talk about the new Mission Impossible movie. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has to say about that. He's also going to look at this Sundance drama called Earth Mama. So those are some of the stories that we will be following here on the Nikki Maduro Show. But right now, let's get into it, because we've got this this man who's doing this lovely thing, and I think it's really worthy of discussing. He's won an award in Santa Cruz County. It's a local nonprofit. He is his efforts are on an international scale. So I wanted to show you a picture of the man that we'll be talking about. And here he is. Yeah, look at that. There he is there. You can see him against the rocks in the baseball hat. But it's not often that we get to bring a good news story up. And this local nonprofit is called Gravity Water. And they help people in countries like Nepal and Vietnam harvest rainwater and transform that into healthy drinking water. He's been given this award. It's called a Classy Award, and it is an affiliate of GoFundMe. Along with this award, GoFundMe gave a $3,000 donation to this company called Gravity Water. It started, well, let's see, Danny Wright is this man's name. And he first started his efforts to provide people with safe drinking water with a GoFundMe initiative. And that was 10 years ago. And now he's got this nonprofit called Gravity Water. He said growing up in Santa Cruz gave him a love and appreciation for the environment. And that he was inspired to build this nonprofit that would provide potable water for people in need. He had taken a trip to South America when he was a student at UC Santa Barbara. He said, I saw the big challenge that people had with access to safe drinking water, and it really touched me. And it got me thinking about some of these challenges and why we've invested billions of dollars into the solution, and still billions of people depend on contaminated water. So after he goes to UCSB, he comes home to Santa Cruz and he starts doing water quality analysis with the Surfrider Foundation. During his work with Surfrider, he was struck with the idea for Gravity Water and compelled to help the people of Nepal after he said they experienced a massive earthquake in 2015. He said, I had this idea to turn rain into safe water without the need for electricity. I didn't know if it would work, but I headed to Nepal to see, and it worked extremely well. It was providing more than 1,000 liters per day of safe drinking water, completely energy free. So I decided, he says, to start this nonprofit to grow the awareness and platform and scale the intervention. That's when he forms this company called Gravity Water. This guy comes home from college, sees a need, develops this, this technology, this way of saving rainwater and making it into a safe thing for people to drink, and get access to. And now he's around the world helping people do this. He deserved the classy award, I think. He initially formed Gravity Water with pilot projects in 5 different countries and learned about what would and wouldn't work during the first few years in operation. He says they still have some challenges scaling up in the first few years, despite they got a lot of positive attention. They won another award, a Nexty, in 2018. Um, and they were chosen, Gravity Water, to be part of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Solve program, which provides support to social entrepreneurs. He said it's really hard to take an idea and bring it to the next level. After dialing in our technology, which happened in 2019, we were providing more than 10,000 children with safe drinking water every day. We knew the technology worked and we were confident about it, but how do we actually bring it to scale? The pandemic put a pause on his work. Um, but the nonprofit was chosen to be part of 2 accelerator programs, and that helped them see the path ahead. He says mentors really helped them. Um, that since 2018, Gravity Waters has helped more than 100 communities and provided 58,000 people with clean water. In the next year, Danny Wright is planning to grow the nonprofit's reach to about 400 more communities, quadrupling the impact in the next 12 months. A very big ramp up right now, he said. A lot of it has to do with this climate piece of saying, how do we actually help the communities prepare and have the tools to deal with the changing climate? They're partnering with Harbor High School in Santa Cruz, to build another system at a school in Vietnam. So they're getting kids involved in doing this as well. He said, seeing the communities with clean water is why I started this, but there's something deeper. Seeing that we have the ability to inspire others to really step into their potential and make a difference in the world. So they're asking other schools to get involved in this youth initiative program at Gravity Water. If you are interested in that, the email address is schools@gravitywater.org. Schools with an S at gravitywater.org. I'm so impressed. When you think about, I don't know, do you ever, maybe it's morbid to think about this, about the legacy you leave behind, about when when you're gone, what are people going to remember about you? Maybe that's a little vain to think that. Don't think so much about yourself all the time. But you want to have some type of impact on the world, want to do something good for people. Um, and I think something like this guy, Danny Wright, and what he's done, I mean, wow, impressive, really impressive. Um, I hats off to him. If I had an award to give, I definitely would do it. Okay, so here's a story about bears and why they're digging under homes in Tahoe. They are digging because they love rodent poison. Horrible, right? Rodent poison is made to smell good, to attract bears or to attract rodents to it. But bears have a really good sense of smell. So they're also attracted to it, and they will do whatever they can to actually get to it. Um, and that is what's happening with the bears in Tahoe. So people are setting out these rodent traps, and the bears are attracted to it too, and they're coming for it. Um, they call it a staggering amount of bear-related incidents happened in late June, all tied to rodents. So Bear League in Tahoe, we've talked to them before. It's a nonprofit. They said just in the last 3 days of June, they got 9 calls from worried homeowners. mostly vacation homeowners and apartment managers, but bears apparently attempting to tear the foundations off of homes, rip away siding to get into these homes or underneath homes to get to the rodent poison. Um, all of the 9 homes that were in question had placed rodent poison, a known attractant for bears, under their decks or foundations. It is commonly used pet control substances like decon. They use a sweet scent to attract rodents to lethal poison. Black bears have a sense of smell about 2,100 times better than humans. They can detect odors from up to 2 miles away. So it makes them better at finding this scent than a rat or a mouse. And they want it. When they smell it, they want it. The good part of this is that it's usually that the bears are too large to feel much of an effect from ingesting the rat bait, but it can harm the bear cubs. So the group is saying many bears will breach walls to get inside where this poison is. They will do a tremendous amount of damage as well. The Bear League says the only way to avoid attracting bears is to remove all types of bait and poison, even older expired traps. And they say, ignore the warning at your own peril. My thanks to SF Gate for that story. I did not know that, so I wanted to share that with you. Since we're in Tahoe, how about another Tahoe story? Meaning we were in Tahoe with the bears. There is a prowler fondling women's feet in hotel rooms. Oh, sorry. Let me get that. I always forget. I leave the comments up for 5,000 years. So I'm sorry about that, you guys. I bought some bug spray and it still smells poisonous, but it didn't kill anything. Well, that's good. SF Tesla. Yes. Yeah, thank you for the comments, you guys. And don't barbecue outside, writes Calvin, because the bears are going to get you. Yeah, we don't want that. Okay, so let's talk about this other Tahoe story. This is a different kind of predator, not a bear, but a perv, pervy. And this incident is involving someone who's sneaking into the hotel rooms in Tahoe and fondling women's feet in their hotel rooms. Do you guys know how I feel about feet? A prowler reportedly breaking into women's hotel rooms in the Lake Tahoe region, fondling their feet as they sleep. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office says both Sunday and Monday morning, 2 separate female guests reported waking up at 4:30 a.m. To an intruder in their room touching their feet. No. In both cases, the victims' rooms were on the ground floor. They say it's suspected at this time that the suspect entered the rooms via unsecured exterior screen doors. After waking, the guests reported the intruder left via the screen door. No description of the suspect has been shared. And the sheriff's office is not naming the hotel. They said it's on Elks Point Road. And that the club, SF Gate did a little poking, and they said the Club Wyndham South Shore Resort is on that block in Zephyr Cove, which is just a few miles over the California border from Tahoe. They reached out to Wyndham. Wyndham has no comment. The sheriff's office says residents and guests staying in the Lake Tahoe area should secure all exterior doors to their rooms and hotel rooms. Don't leave the window open because pervy perv can come through your screen door and twiddle your feet, which is not what you want to have happen. The scary thing about that is, you think that, oh, okay, so someone touched your feet, big deal. But, and I know this from watching SVU, Law and Order SVU, is that some people start with these weird breaking in, touching a woman's feet, and then it escalates into bigger sexual crimes. So you don't know when that's going to escalate. Another story I wanted to talk to you about today involves the Ocean Beach Tower. And I don't know if you've seen this. So I have a picture of the planned tower to go up at Ocean Beach. That kind of takes away the flavor of the area, doesn't it? Look at that. It's super tall. And I don't know if I like the way that makes Ocean Beach look. This is not Miami. We've got a different flavor here in the Bay Area. But let's talk about this. This is a rendering for this 50-story tower in the outer sunset in San Francisco. The artistic renderings of the skyscraper show it would tower over the outer sunset neighborhood. And I just think once you get one of these, then you get a bunch of them, and then it turns into something different. Now, would a 50-story tower provide more housing in an area that desperately needs housing? Yes. Would it be affordable housing out by the beach? Probably not. Um, I and plus, I just don't think it's the way we want San Francisco to look. Is it? Is it the way you want San Francisco to look? Because I think even if you don't live in San Francisco, we're in the Bay Area. It's our city. That's our main city. And I think we all have a stake in it. An application for the building was first filed in April. The developer is CH Planning, LLC. They have submitted various proposals from residential buildings at this site since 2020, that according to the San Francisco Business Times. This 50-story tower is their most recent proposal for an address at 2700 Sloat Boulevard. So that's 2 blocks from Ocean Beach. It is where Sloat Garden Center currently is, so it's very near the zoo. The proposed building would be 589 feet tall. It would have 680 for ownership homes along with retail shops. Artistic renderings of this project were recently released by architect Solomon Cordwell Boons. They show this building towering over a neighborhood, otherwise, without any structures taller than 100 feet. So renderings are showing it to have soft, rounded edges and glass balconies. The drawings include a large deck, mostly facing Sloat Boulevard, which is set above double height windows that showcase the building's gym and retail shops as well. I don't see this as being something that San Franciscans are going to get behind, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you want a condo out at Ocean Beach in this 50-story tower. Maybe this is, the wave of the future. I can't get behind it. Maybe it's going to just take me some more time to look at it, but I don't love it. What do you guys think? Here's another picture of the artist rendering, again with the rounded edges. That's really tall. It looks like Las Vegas. It looks like, the financial district, not Ocean Beach. I can't imagine that's what we're looking for here in San Francisco. DL Wong says it's too dangerous. It'll be on landfill. It'll be like the Millennium. Yeah, another sinking tower. That's what we need, right? It is ugly to the max, says Meredith. Even if you can look at the building and go, hey, it's not a bad looking building as tall buildings go. If it was in Vegas, I might not go, ooh, that building's ugly. If it was in downtown San Francisco, I might not say, I don't like it. But at Ocean Beach, no. And this is not the wave of new buildings that we want to create. We don't want developers buying up, multiple lots so they can put up these giant buildings out there. At least that's my first reaction to all of this. What do you think? I mean, are you envisioning a future at Ocean Beach where we see these 50-story tall towers? I don't want that. I really don't want that. Randy is saying he's seen estimates that indicate California is short 3 to 4 million housing units. Where are you going to build all this housing, especially in the Bay Area? Not at Ocean Beach? Not in this type of tower? John, who does live in San Francisco, says the city has to find a way to comply with the new state housing density laws. You want that tower down at Ocean Beach, John Daly? Karen says that building is ugly. Yes, it looks like Las Vegas. It doesn't belong on the beach in San Francisco. And who builds a building that big on an earthquake fault? I have to tell you, I was looking at that too. The other photo where you can see the differently shaped tower, right? Just a block from the beach there. And I'm thinking tsunami or earthquake. Maybe I'm just too much of a Panic thinker. Karen says, anyone think of traffic for that area? What about the infrastructure? Probably didn't think about that. And KF writes, Sunset residents will fight this to the end, as they should. San Francisco needs a lot of things. A massive eyesore condo complex built on sand dunes at the beach is not one of them. I don't know. I mean, how do they even consider that? Parker says, be sure and dispose of, we're talking about environment stuff again. Yeah. Mindy writes, San Francisco doesn't need to end up like Miami with skyscrapers. John Daly back with a response, no, but it's going to court because of those new laws. Yeah, the new laws that say that we have to have a certain number of affordable housing units in every community. Karen says this is totally inappropriate for this area. Right now it is. There always has to be a first one going up though, right, Karen? What if we do something like this and then all of a sudden, Sloat becomes a new high rise? Is that what we want for this area? I like the greenery there, the sand, the wildness of this area. I don't think we want it to turn into Miami. I completely agree with you. Where's the parking? I guess with a building like this, underground parking, they'd have to dig into the sand for a parking lot. Randy says only something like 2% of the land in the San Francisco Bay Area is available for development at this point. So where is all this housing, this needed housing going to go? It's a good point you make, Randy. I'm not going to lie. It's a good point you make. Where are we going to put it? I just don't think Ocean Beach is the right place. Karen wants John Rothman to be the mayor so he can stop this kind of stuff. SF Tesla with an excellent idea may as well put Laughing Sally right on top. Back to Playland at the beach, right? It looks like there's that roof deck. She'd fit right up there. Karen says, look what happened to that condo building on the SF waterfront. Poor footing, sinking building. Yeah, the Millennium Tower you're talking about. Sandy says the answer is somewhere else. The Bay Area is full. The roads already can't handle all the cars. Build somewhere else. Calvin says it's also an eyesore, having lots of people living in cars all over. Start somewhere with building. The status quo is not acceptable. Are you saying that this is less of an eyesore than having people living in their cars? That you would rather see a 50-story tower out at Ocean Beach than homeless people having tents everywhere? But I have to say that, Calvin, while you might see some units in a building like this, have to be affordable housing units, mostly it's going to be really expensive. Wouldn't you think it would be expensive to buy a condo in San Francisco right on the beach? I would think it would be very pricey. So you might get a few affordable housing units out of this, but it's not going to solve the problem. Mindy says, stick homeless in a skyscraper, just jam pack them in. I mean, it seems like we have a lot of empty office buildings. I don't mind the idea of homeless people living in a large building. The idea of putting a large building in Ocean Beach is unpalatable to me. But I don't mind the repurposing of an old office building that's been sitting vacant for some type of long-term housing for people. I don't think that's bad. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm buying what you're selling, Mindy. Randy writing, the design of the Millennium Tower was lousy. That's why the sinking issue exists. Karen wants to know why they don't put these things in San Jose or Sunnyvale. I think they do have some tall buildings in San Jose and Sunnyvale. Mindy would like this sent back to Miami. John says they're going to have to allow new buildings that are higher than 2 to 3 stories. Out at Ocean Beach, though? I don't know. Yeah, Kathleen says empty downtown buildings, 30% vacancy rate in buildings in downtown San Francisco right now, financial district area, etc. A lot of companies have either closed up, left their leases, stores have closed up. A lot of these commercial buildings, they're sitting empty right now. Harry does not like this. He says it's ugly and disgusting. Chris says, make it look, oh, what, like the Salesforce Tower? Yeah. Um, and Randy says the West San Jose area where I live is already getting some large new apartment complexes built. There's a lot of pushback to those developments as well. I will tell you, Randy, that and Karen, there are some really tall new condo apartment affordable housing type of buildings that just went up in my town in Petaluma, and they are 3 or 4 stories tall in an area along the Petaluma River that, used to be kind of these old buildings that had the corrugated metal roofs and siding, and they were little shops, and they closed it and they built this massive new apartment complex. It looks like they're 2 and 3 bedroom, well, 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom apartments in this building right along the river. It's built now. It doesn't look bad, but it definitely changes the landscape of Petaluma. You can't, see right to the river anymore from the main street. Harry says the top floors will have amazing views. That's true. John saying NIMBYs don't want duplexes or apartment buildings near their single family homes. Well, I think when you move into a neighborhood that is full of single family homes, you kind of expect that that's the way the neighborhood will stay. I don't think anyone would expect that Sloat Garden Center would turn into a 50-story residential tower. If you moved into downtown San Francisco, you would expect that maybe you'll see new towers being put up or high rises, sky scrapers being built. But when you move out to the Sunset, that's not really a skyscraper kind of zone. So it's a bit of a surprise, to have people do that, to have that being proposed. Karen says, is this really going to provide affordable housing? Sometimes that's the supposed plan, but then it doesn't really happen. Karen wants it put in Marin County. You can hear the hot tubbing, ganja smoking NIMBYs howl if that thing went up over there. I think you're right about that. It's not going into Marin County, I can tell you that. Lax Paint, LAX Paint. Is it Lax Paint or LAX Paint? I'm never sure. But some places were not designed to have this many people. The infrastructure cannot handle the demand of growth. I don't disagree with that. I think that you see traffic on Sloat, you see traffic on the Great Highway, and I don't know what a 50-story tower adds to the neighborhood. And I'm not against affordable housing, I have to say that. But this, my gut is I'm against this. Harry's still concerned about the parking. How are they going to mitigate the traffic? Imagine the traffic when everyone gets to work. It's having to rescue bums from a burning skyscraper that stops them from doing it. That's not very nice to say bums, but okay. Mindy says we have a beautiful big parking lot dedicated to RV homeless. It's clean, it's quiet, the people are well behaved. Well, this is great, Mindy. It's not an eyesore and it's working very well in the community. That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that's working out. So you think they should take the Sloat Garden Center and turn it into an RV homeless parking lot? Maybe with security, laundry facilities, that type of thing, instead of this 50-story tower? Sandy with a response to John Daly, it's not about NIMBYs not wanting people near their homes. It's about too many people in an already overcrowded area. But John says he's really talking about throughout the city, not only Ocean Beach. And then Harry says, it's just not a pretty building. It's going to provide shadows. What about the wind noise? And then he says it's just ugly. Miss Orgasmic says it looks ridiculous. Build a few stories up, but not anywhere near this height. If it was half this height, I don't think I'd have such a problem with it. It's just so, as you said, Miami, right? It's just so not San Francisco in this area. Lax Paint, do people actually believe we can continue adding people exponentially with no adverse effects? I don't think that's the case at all. The more people we bring in, the more incidents, issues we have, right? DL Wong, redo all the empty office buildings into apartments. It may be cheaper than building a new one. I guess, but there are people that own these buildings. Do they want to become landlords to residents? Do they want to become Section 8 housing landlords? I don't know the answer. But I think that San Francisco leadership is working on some type of situation that would change zoning and allow buildings sitting empty to be repurposed. Randy agreeing with Sandy. The large developments being planned in West San Jose and Saratoga will add to already horrible traffic. S.J. Lola says San Jose is already doing more than any other Bay Area cities, or more than many other Bay Area cities, to address the housing shortage. Lots of high-rise residential buildings going up. Time for other cities to do their share. So are you wanting, is that then a thumbs up on the Ocean Beach 50-story tower, S.J. Lola? Or do you think we should do it somewhere else? Harry says this would look ugly anywhere. Completely nondescript. I'll show you the other rendering as well. Here it is with the rounded towers or the rounded sides, more like a triangle looking building. It could be said for all of California. Only the affluent can stay here as property values go through the absolute roof. Yeah. Oh, Tim Sika wants the link. I can send you the link, Tim Sika. I'm sorry that you don't have it. Oversight on my part. So let me take a moment, because I do want to talk about Mission Impossible, and I do want my Tim Sika to come talk to us. So let me see if I can't send that. Sorry, you guys, I have to take a moment to make this happen. But definitely worth it so that Tim can join the show. All right, Tim, there it is. But let's continue reading your text about this. What most people worry about is bad elements moving in. They don't want a ghetto next door. They don't want crime, and they have visions of ick. I don't think that's a reason not to build. I understand the concerns, but on the other hand, we have people that need housing, and we have to try at least so that they're not living in their cars, right? That building looks like a Pez dispenser. I think you mean this version of it. It does look like a giant Pez dispenser. All the little tiles could be the Pez. It's totally funny. Thank you, Tranquil. John says building affordable housing allows people to live and work here instead of commuting. And that's important because we've talked about the environment today, right? We talked about plastic in the environment. We talked about things we can do to help the environment. One of the main things we can do is not driving our cars back and forth from San Francisco. And so living where you work is key. Living next to a transportation hub where you can take mass transit is also important. I don't disagree with you, John Daly, at all, but I'm still not loving the way this building is looking on Ocean Beach. Sandy asks, when is any of the new housing ever affordable? Each new building is more expensive than the last. And SF Tesla says, I think that building is inappropriate for the location, but the Sunset can absolutely accommodate more higher density housing. And SJ Lola, thank you for that response. I think that's true. I think, again, if it was half the size, I wouldn't have the big problem with it. It's just the location and the size of it. And it just doesn't seem appropriate to me either. It sits the wrong way with me. Calvin writing about affordable housing and buildings like this, he says they set a percentage for affordable, like 15 to 20%, and mean tested by income. So they have to have a certain percentage of the buildings for sale that would have to be sold at lower prices than the rest of them. Chris is worried that overseas rich will buy these condos to hide their wealth. And Joseph says, we need to build new cities. We can't all live in the same place. There's plenty of space to spread out. A last comment on this one from John Daly, who says San Francisco mandates a percentage of affordable units with all new buildings, and it's part of this project, not in favor of 50 stories. Yeah, John, I think that's the case. It's just the 50 stories. It's the eyesore nature of it out on one of San Francisco's most beautiful vistas. I would have a problem with this if they tried to put it right next to the Golden Gate Bridge too. Ocean Beach is beautiful. We go there because it's beautiful. And if you start putting high rises like this in that area, it's going to change the flavor of it. And I don't think that's what we really want for San Francisco. I don't think so. A last question from Sandy asking what they consider affordable in San Jose. Most of the new apartments are renting for 2,500 plus a month. Not affordable to most people, but the cost never goes down. Um, I would agree that we need something, but I don't necessarily know that this is it. Maybe this Sloat Garden Center space can be used for affordable housing for someone or for some people. Maybe it can be used, as was suggested, as an RV parking lot. They're going to do something with it. I'm sad to see the Sloat Garden Center go. I love that place, but I don't want it right on the beach in San Francisco. No, 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 no. Anyway, thank you for the discussion and for talking about that. We are going to talk to Tim Sika, who's got some great movies to review. I did email you the link, Tim. He wants it again. I'm going to post it in the chat so you can pick it up from here, copy and paste it. But there is the link today, Tim, if you can pop in and talk. And I also emailed it to you. So hopefully you have it by now. But yeah, I'll try to email it again. Sorry. And then I'll do a little bit of news. It's hard to be by yourself, you guys. My bad. I'm sorry. Tim Sika. Okay, I'm sending it to you twice. There you go. All right, let's do a little bit of news, and then we will hopefully be able to talk to Tim Sika. He's got some great movies on tap to review this time around. Among them, the Mission Impossible movie. And I heard about this movie that Tom Cruise was doing most of his own stunts, including this incredible motorcycle stunt. So I wanted to really dig in and talk about that a little bit. But first, and let me see if I can not play it on a loop. I don't want to loop the tracks. Here is the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Back to the cocaine in the White House, you guys. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is repeating President Biden was at Camp David when a small bag of cocaine was found at the White House in the cubby boxes where you walk in. During Friday's briefing, she told reporters there has been irresponsible reporting about the family. She was responding to a question if the drugs belong to any member of the Biden family. Come on. Southern Arizona and southern Florida are under excessive heat warnings. They could see record-breaking temperatures in Florida over the next few days. The northern part of Arizona under red flag warnings as well. The first price tag for the Department of Justice investigation of former President Trump has now been released. The first release of public accounting shows special counsel Jack Smith has spent more than $9 million since his appointment to head this investigation. $9 million. You think that's worth it? I say keep on spending. The Justice Department has indicted Trump on 37 counts related to classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago, and they are investigating the former president's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. If we don't spend that money, does it send a message to say, do what you're going to do and no consequences shall come? President Biden plans to stop in the UK on the way to his Tuesday NATO summit in Lithuania. Going to take a little trippy trip to the UK. Biden will meet with King Charles and the British Prime Minister while in England. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says NATO will show unity and resolve in support of Ukraine and its war against Russia. The housekeeper for a Utah woman accused of murder is admitting to selling her dozens of fentanyl pills, that according to KSL News. Children's book author Corey Richins is accused of killing her husband with a lethal dose of fentanyl back in March. The housekeeper appeared in court yesterday, while Richins' next hearing is August 16th. Anybody who manages to win both the Mega Millions and the Powerball drawings this weekend could be in for $1 billion jackpot. Like, that's going to happen. Your chance of winning one is nil. The Mega Millions drawing is tonight. The top prize, 427 million. Tomorrow night's Powerball drawing is worth 590 million. I don't know. You know, I'm going to play, I think, but I know that I'm not going to win. I hate to approach it with that attitude, but I just really can't help it. It's just the way it is. But I don't think it doesn't afford me a chance to dream if I don't play. So for me, the $2 is worth the dream, right? There is California now taking a family approach to kids' mental health. More help is coming to kids dealing with mental health challenges. California awarding $30 million to 63 different groups. The money meant to support parents and grandparents and other family caregivers. First partner, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, says giving them the best in class tools, resources, and programs is the best way to reach more children. She calls it a holistic, community-centric, whole family approach. And we talked about this deal a little bit earlier at the top of the show, but there is an historic new deal to drastically cut pollution throughout California. This is kind of exciting. Some of the largest truck manufacturers in the nation have agreed to ban the sale of new diesel big rigs by 2036, giving the companies more time to meet new regulations. Officials say it creates a path for the state's long-term goal that all medium and heavy-duty trucks on the road produce zero emissions by 2045. And lastly, a popular California tourist spot is now asking for ideas on how to manage all the huge crowds that show up there. Yosemite National Park was so packed over the holiday weekend that some people waited for up to 5 hours just to get into the park. The congestion has been building since reservations ended in November and is expected to continue all summer. It's why the park is evaluating strategies for a new plan and taking input from visitors too. So if you have an idea, let them know. Comments have to be made online by September 6th. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Nikki Maduro Show. All right, it is time to talk to Tim Sika about movies. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am that he has included Mission Impossible in some of the music or some of the movies that he is talking about today. So let me take this moment to welcome Tim Sika to the broadcast. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kim. Boy, did I have trouble connecting with you today. I don't know. I didn't get any of those emails. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know. I was emailing my little heart out. So
yeah, I have Earthlink, which is like a dinosaur, and that's probably why. Yeah.
Well, that's probably why. Just delighted that you made it to the show.
I'm delighted to be on the show.
And I saw that the first movie that you picked to talk about was this Mission Impossible. And it's, I know Tom Cruise is a little bit weird, but I do enjoy this type of movie.
Yeah.
And I also enjoy the that he does his own stunts and it's all very exciting.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I really did. Have you seen any of the Mission Impossible movies?
All of them. Yes.
All of them. Okay. Well, I hate to sound like I'm a shill for the studios, for Paramount Studios, but for me, and I've seen them all too, this was the one I enjoyed the most. I think in some ways it's the best yet. It's the 7th Mission Impossible movie, produced by and starring Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, the IMF operative and field agent, which, an IMF, of course, is the secret government agency that handles dangerous and high stakes missions. And in this one, Ethan Hunt goes rogue, right? And his mission, should he choose to accept it, which of course he does, otherwise there'd be no movie, right? Is that he has to acquire this key and deliver it to IMF before the bad guys get it and use it to take over the world and destroy it. Anyway, that's a spoiler for your synopsis you're going to get from me. But actually, when you look at it, the story is kind of secondary to the fabulously produced, the fabulously choreographed and executed chase and action scenes, which occur all throughout this movie. For movie action, this doesn't get much better. I
Okay.
suppose, than Dead Reckoning, with one big action scene after another interspersed throughout a script which is insane. But at the same time, it's clever and twisty enough to hold your interest. And I was joking with a colleague of mine after I saw the movie. I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, well, you can easily retitle this as Movie Improbable because the script is just so out there. But for me, more than any other Mission Impossible, this one pulled out every stop in terms of pulling you in and keeping you there. It's a lot of movie. The seventh one, it's long at 163 minutes, and it's calculated, but the whole thing is designed to wow you at every turn, and it pretty much does. The script goes off the rails at times, but it's never dull. It's kind of like a more civilized and brainier John Wick, Chapter 4.
Right.
And, Tom Cruise reminds me of movie producer Mike Todd, who was Elizabeth Taylor's third husband. He was a larger-than-life showman and movie producer of the 1950s, and he was famous for his 1956 Oscar winner for Best Picture, Around the World in 80 Days. Cruise is very much like Mike Todd in that he just wants to thrill you. He just wants to transport you. He wants you to forget about your problems and wants to entertain you on a grand scale. And with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, he succeeds in doing all of that.
So when does it come out?
Today.
Today's the day.
Plays in theaters today. Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty exciting. So did you like the story, or was it just the action scenes, or was it the whole package?
The whole package. The story was actually interesting. It was kind of twisty, and it was it was also a little like currently resonant in that there's an AI element in this movie that kind of goes out of control. Okay. Because it wasn't fully tested. So that has, that speaks to what we're dealing with now with all this AI technology and stuff. No, it was a good script. It was just crazy. I mean, one thing after another, you're going, oh yeah, right. But it doesn't matter because the movie is so well produced, and it was exhilarating. I mean, as far as a popcorn movie, this has got to be the best one of the summer.
Would you say this is one of those you've got to see on the big screen?
I saw it in Dolby. No, it wasn't in IMAX. I did see it in Dolby, and I would say, if you can. Well, that's the only way you're going to be able to see it is on the big screen for a while anyway, because, Tom Cruise is a big proponent of getting people back into the theaters, and I think this is going to be the big hit of the summer. Yeah.
Okay. So Mission Impossible gets a thumbs up from Tim Sika. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
We can end it right here, but let's go on with The League. This is a baseball documentary.
Right. It's a sports documentary about the Negro Baseball League, simply known as Maya Angelou put it in the movie. She said that when you referred to the league, everybody knew that you meant the Negro Baseball League, which had been home to Black and Latino players who had to play or could only play segregated baseball during the height of the Jim Crow era in the 1920s. And this movie chronicles the league's formation, which, no surprise, was a direct result of white racism, as well as their rich legacy. It's a fascinating story, not only about the history of baseball in this country, but also the establishment of Black baseball. It's kind of a painful reminder of America's racist past and the Black influence on baseball and how the Black community's contribution to the sport made baseball what it is today. It also chronicles the rise and fall of the Negro leagues, the fall, ironically, having been the result of integration of the sport. That's a fascinating component to this story. And it also tells the story of this guy named Rube Foster, who was a visionary manager. He was a player, and he was an executive of the Negro League, whose story should also be told in a separate movie all by itself. I can't believe no Hollywood scriptwriter has told this guy's story, but it's one of many really fascinating stories in this documentary. If anybody interested in Black history or sports history, this is a must-see, and it's a winner. Really, it's terrific.
Even if you're not a huge baseball fan, do you think it's just for the history aspect that it's important to see?
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, I love baseball, so I was in the bag for this movie from the get-go. So but I do think it's just an interesting cultural chronicle of the time, because it's not only about the Black League, it's about what was going on in the country that kind of forced this league into existence. So it's interesting on a number of levels.
And
So
where do we find the league?
the league is in theaters only, and it
Oh,
it opens today. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Let us move on to this one. This is Earth Mama.
Yeah, this is another winner of a different sort. This is a quintessential indie, and my personal cup of tea when it comes to movies. And it was a hit at this year's Sundance. It's a drama about a pregnant mother who's trying to get her kids back from the state. A newcomer and Oakland rap artist Tia No More. I think that's her name. Yeah, Tia No More. She's in her. This is her first film, her feature film debut, and she plays a young mom of two, nearing the end of her pregnancy. She's also pregnant with a third child, and she's struggling to make ends meet. She's struggling with these 1 hour a week supervised visits with her young son and daughter, and whether she should regain custody of them or give up her children to adoption. And she's dealing with all of this while she's struggling with her own personal demons. And this is yet another one of the many movies released this year, and there have been quite a number that have been written and directed by female filmmakers. I've also personally interviewed a record number of female filmmakers this year, simply meaning I think that more women, it seems, are finally being given the opportunities to tell their stories on the screen. And Earth Mama is another one, an excellent one, told by women for women, and hopefully as many men who absolutely should see this. Savannah Leaf is the writer-director, and of local interest, both she and the lead role of Gia, played by Tia No More, are Bay Area filmmakers. They're Bay Area artists who've made a film and written and performed a story that takes place with the Bay Area as a setting. So yeah, it's a very good movie. There's a lot kicking around in it. None of it is preachy or hits you over the head. Mm-hmm. It's just this simple story of a mother and a victim of the system, really, that has this powerful cumulative effect on the viewer. At least it did me. Yeah. And given this subject matter, I wish I could say more about the story, but I want to keep the plot as under wraps as possible. But given this subject matter, it's also a kind of a masterclass in how to elicit empathy from the viewing audience. It's so easy to judge people who are in the position the main character of Earth Mama finds herself in. Yeah. And there's a scene in this movie that, if you're open to it, could really change you. It did to me. And yeah, so suffice it to say that Earth Mama is excellent. It's an extraordinary little movie and one of the best films of the year for me.
Like the way you think about people of other races, or the way you think about people in maybe lower income communities, or
it's all that. And it's also like a story about motherhood and maternity and the failure of government institutions that are designed to help people, but people just get caught up in all the institutional bureaucracy and it's all of that. There's a lot kicking around, but it's not a dense movie. It's very easy to follow. It's very easy to get caught up in, and I think Bay Area film lovers will, recognize, some of the areas in which it was shot, which is kind of cool. I always think that's cool when I see that in the movie. I go, oh yeah. I hang out over there sometimes.
I love about, and that's always fun, but what I love about a movie is when it can put you in a position to really share someone else's experience.
Yeah, that's this movie, Kim.
Because can do that like you were talking about, that it can change your perspective on someone else's plight. It's the epitome of what I consider woke to be, where we all go along in our own, and I know that's a dirty word now, but we all go along in our little lives.
I don't even buy that it's a dirty word. I'm not even.
It's not. It isn't, because my experience is going to be completely different than the experience this woman goes through. We may have some similarities, and that's great, but we probably have a lot of differences. So any way to understand people and to open my perspective to the real truth of what's going on in the world, I welcome that. Where can I find Earth Mama?
Yeah, it is playing in theaters as of today. Nothing is
Okay.
streaming that I'm going to be
No, what
talking about this
happened?
week. Yeah, it's all in theaters. Yeah, yeah,
Earth Mama.
yeah. Beautiful
You
movie.
have me intrigued when you said it could really, if you're open to changing your perspective.
Yeah.
Not always, maybe, not every movie can do that, or you might not want that. But I think if you are open to learning about someone else's plight, that can help your thoughts on, politics and everything.
Yeah, and it's funny too because that scene that I referred to that I don't really want to give away, that when I saw it, if I had seen that scene out of context of this woman's background and this whole story and this entire movie that I was watching, I would have gone, oh man, what the, what,
Yeah.
yeah, I would have been ticked. But in this, my heart went out to this woman in this particular
Oh.
scene, and it was, yeah, it's one of the best films of the year.
I'm seeing it for sure. Do we cry in Earth Mama? Is that what happens to us?
Yeah, a little bit,
Yeah,
yeah.
we cry in
Oh,
Earth Mama. I
yeah.
try to avoid the crying movies, but I don't think I can avoid it with this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move to The Lesson.
The Lesson. Oh, The
Mhm.
Lesson is a The Lesson. It's a noir thriller of sorts, and it's about this aspiring young writer played
Okay.
by Daryl McCormick, who made a real strong impression last year as the sex worker to Emma Thompson's nervous middle-aged client in Good Luck to You, Leo Grand. Did you see that? Good Luck
No.
to You, Rio Grande. See that. You
Okay.
you need to see that. Anyway, in The Lesson,
You
really
said
fine young actor.
good luck to you, Rio Grande?
It's called Good Luck to You, Leo Grand.
Oh, Leo Grande. Okay.
Yeah, and I think I think it's on Apple TV. I think it's streaming on Apple. But anyway, he's great in that. And in The Lesson, he plays this aspiring writer, right, who takes on the job of tutoring the son of this revered, very renowned, very famous, very respected author, played by Richard E. Grant, on the estate where the writer, his son, and the writer's wife, played by Julie Delpy, all live together. So he lives on the premises as he's tutoring this son, this boy, as a kind of hired hand, and where he also kind of gradually discovers all kinds of twisted and dark and complicated secrets about the writer, his son, and the wife. This was one of those movies where I had no idea what it was before I saw it, and I also had no idea on what to expect, and it turned out to be a really nice surprise. I don't know if it's about anything. It seems to be really trashing writers, or maybe it's just nailing the personality type that a
Yeah.
serious writer has to have in order to write and write effectively. It's really quite the narcissistic and self-absorbed act, writing is, when you think about it, because it's just solitary, and it's all about you being the vessel. So there's a lot of that dramatized here, and there's also something here about the writer's ego and how the kind of ego that maybe writers of the caliber of this character that Richard E. Grant plays, when their ego is on display in acts of this kind of personal creation and creativity that they're doing with their writing, it can also be accompanied by a lot of human gaslighting and cruelty.
Oh.
Writers' envy and jealousy is on display in this narrative. The acting, though, in this movie, Richard E. Grant, who made a really big, did you see Can You Ever Forgive Me with Melissa McCarthy?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, Richard E. Grant made a big splash a few years ago playing a gay alcoholic in that movie. He makes an even bigger splash in this movie. He plays this mercurial and at times monstrous character.
Yeah.
The Lesson is worth seeing for his performance alone, and the movie itself is just a lot of fun, and at times it's kind of twisted and perverse. But boy, was it ever entertaining. And it was surprising.
No.
I thought I had figured out everything that was going to happen. But every time I did think I had it all figured out, it pulled a fast one on me. And I can't tell you how refreshing that is, especially when you see so many movies. And it's generally just so easy to predict where they're going.
Right.
Every time I predicted where this was going, I got, sideswiped in a really good way that made me grin. So, yeah, I mean, The Lesson, it's very well made. It's surprising, it's fun, and it's twisted entertainment.
And
Yeah.
that also is probably in the movie theaters, right?
In theaters beginning
Okay.
today. Yeah. Everything
This
is in theaters this
this
week.
is
Yeah.
a lot to choose from. If I had to pick one
Oh
from
no.
all of the ones that you just gave me,
Okay.
that
Well.
includes Mission Impossible, which you know I'm gonna love,
Oh
The
yeah.
League, which is really cool, Earth Mama, which you called one of the best movies of the year, and The
Yeah.
Lesson. What do I pick if I have one date night?
Yeah. Oh no. That's like saying, if you have like four kinds of favorite pie, which is the one you're going to eat. It depends what you want. If you want a big, oh, this is hard. If you want just a big date summer movie, fun,
Yeah,
popcorn, it's got to be Mission Impossible. But
right.
Earth Mama is a good date movie too. I mean, if you're into serious, and by serious, I don't mean dour necessarily or heavy. Even
Right.
though that movie deals with dour and heavy subjects, it's such a beautiful movie, and at the
Yeah.
end, you're uplifted.
Okay.
So it's between Earth Mama and Mission Impossible and The League and The Lesson.
Oh,
So,
he can't pick.
I can't choose one.
It's like picking your favorite child. How do you do it?
Yeah,
How do you do it?
exactly. It's like the Lay's potato chip thing, the old commercial where you can't just eat one, or you can't eat just one chip.
No.
Yeah.
You
Anyway.
know, you were talking about Melissa McCarthy, and my daughter Julia and I are doing this mother-daughter TV series watching. We're watching the Gilmore Girls from start to finish. And I
Yeah.
think we're finally on season 5, but I had never seen the Gilmore Girls before we started this series,
Uh,
and I didn't know that Melissa McCarthy was in this, and that was
I
how she
didn't
really
either.
got her start. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's great in it, but it's interesting that she has, kind of she's a secondary character, and
Uh-huh.
then to look at what's happened now where she becomes the superstar, like she's the breakout of the show, really.
She's an amazing performer. I mean, she's
Yeah.
very, very funny. She knows how to do physical comedy great. But in this movie, Can You Ever Forgive Me, that I referenced earlier, she gives a superb dramatic performance. She was nominated by the Academy for Best Actress. I was really rooting
Yeah.
for her because it was a really breakthrough role for her. But yeah, I don't know who she lost to that year. But she's also a great dramatic actress. And a lot of times comedians, there's a number of examples I can give where really funny comedians in movies, when they did drama, boy
Yeah.
did they excel. Boy did they excel. Robin Williams
Awesome.
is one example. First one comes to mind. Yeah. Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
Tim Sika, thank you, thank you, thank you. It doesn't seem like we would have been talking for 20 minutes already, but we
Oh, you
have.
have. Oh, I know. And
Some
yeah,
s
yes. Sorry to put you through all that grief. It looked like
No,
I was hassling you on the chat thing on
I'm glad
the.
you did because I wanted to have the conversation, so I'm glad you tracked me down. Thank you
Yeah,
so
I
much.
wanted to have the conversation too. So we'll
Yeah,
talk
no,
next
I
week.
always love talking to you. I will talk to you next week. Nikki will be back from Maui, so we'll all three have the discussion next week, and until then, happy watching of your movies.
Same to you, Kim McAllister. Talk to
Bye,
you then.
Tim
Bye
Sika. Talk
bye.
to
Bye
you
bye.
soon. Tim Sika, everybody. I love when he comes on the show. I look forward to it all week long. Some thank yous that I wanted to bring up because you are so kind, so nice. Wes, first of all, before you log off, I saw you're going to Epcot Center. Have a really good time. Wes with a $5 contribution to the show. Of course, Joe Fong started it all rolling with a $10 contribution to the show. Jim with a $5 contribution as well. Thank you so much. And then Luis with a nice compliment. Look at all that. Doing an awesome job of doing it all. Thank you. Thank you for my little pauses and, misclicks here and there. I appreciate you guys putting up with me as I'm by myself. And thank you, Luis, for that $10 super sticker. It really means so much that you guys contribute to the show, that you want us to keep going and doing this. So thank you, thank you, thank you a million for helping us do that. I will now say goodbye. Have an amazing weekend, you guys. Hopefully, it's not full of fireworks, residual fireworks from the 4th of July. But I do hope that you have a really lovely time. Thank you for participating so much in the conversation today. And I will see you right back here on the Nikki Maduro Show on Monday. But until then, here's Jake.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.